Hello, my fellow crest-wearing companions, and welcome back to another episode of Extra Time, the U.S. Men's National Team Soccer Podcast. I'm Tim, and the United States has just beaten Senegal by a score of 3-2. Is Christian Pulisic back? Is this a win that the United States should be celebrating? Are there questions that have to be answered? Is this all a farce? Who knows? We're going to break down all of this and more on this episode. Let's get into it. Okay, so the United States has beaten Senegal by a score of 3-2. And if you watched my episode that I posted this morning, my takeaways for the game were a couple things. One, that nobody was going to get hurt. Check. And two, that a result for the United States, a good result for the United States, would be players kind of figuring out how to play with one another, kind of getting the rust out, getting the kinks out, building some confidence, and having it more be a mental game than a physical game. I think that was also a check. I think the players who put balls in the back of the net and who got goals can sit here and kind of try to ride this momentum. And as far as the starters go, I was wrong on both accounts. We didn't really see, my two predictions were we were either going to see a true starting lineup that was going to get subbed out almost immediately, or we were going to see a lot of backup players play. And we kind of saw a mix. So for the starting lineup, we saw Matt Turner in goal, which was very interesting. When I saw Turner leading the tunnel, my initial gut reaction was Matt Turner's going to be the starter. Okay. Then I sat there and thought, is he giving him a chance? Is he resting his starters? Like, what are we going to see? Right. And I think with the substitutions, we can talk a little bit more about this after. Across the back, we saw Freeman, McKenzie, Ream, and Robinson. Okay. So nothing crazy unusual, but we are playing a back four. And we were wondering, like, are we going to see a 3? Or are we going to see a 4? So my takeaway from this was, this is probably the formation that we're going to see in the World Cup. We're going to see a back 4, especially when Richards can get back and healthy. Across the midfield, we saw Adams, but we saw Berhalter and Reyna. So that was like one of the first clues to me that we're definitely going to be trying players that are coming off of the bench. And we want to really figure out, like, what depth does our midfield have? Where can players play if needed? Because we know Adams, with this only true 6 that we have, what happens if he gets hurt and he gets injured. So we're definitely looking for depth. See, can we get a little bit more creativity? You have Berhalter for set pieces, things like that. We see Pepe playing up front, which he's certainly contesting for that number 1 spot, right? We're pretty sure Balogun's a lock, but if somebody's got to come off of the bench, we're pretty sure it's going to be Pepe. And then we saw Das down on the right instead of Weah, with Pulisic in his traditional left winger spot there. So for Senegal playing a 3-4-3, Diaw in goal with Jacob, Sek, and Sarr across the back. We saw Diarra, Ndiaye, Kamara, and Diatta in their midfield. And then Sadio Mane, Jackson, and Ndiaye up front. Almost from the get-go, it felt like this game wasn't going to be much of a contest at all. Okay, so when we were thinking about, thinking back to what I was saying earlier, what kind of an effort was the United States going to put up? What kind of a result was necessarily going to matter? Okay, so if the United States walks out and we just crank it and we just crush them, does it do us any good? Okay, so now looking back on it, I'm like, driving home in the car, I just watched the game and I thought to myself, well, one of the things I missed earlier was you can't get embarrassed. Like that was actually a result that couldn't happen. If the United States just flat out got embarrassed, then it didn't really matter because all 26 of these guys are on your roster, and you were probably going to be playing either starters or bench players, and in either case, getting embarrassed was like no bueno. Like that absolutely wasn't going to work. So we look at the starting lineup. We go, okay, so we got some players. They're definitely going to be trying to figure it out. Now you got guys on the bench that might be thinking, do I have a shot at starting? Right? Like Berhalter probably still knows I really don't have a shot at starting, but definitely going to give it. Reyna might be thinking, like, I don't want to be a guy coming off the bench. I want to be a guy who's starting. right? Same thing with McKenzie. Same thing with Freeman. Like, I don't want to be the guy on the bench. I want to start. Pepe trying to make a point, right? Knowing that Weah is going to be, competing for that right wingback spot as well. We got Des going, you know what? Maybe I want to play up front, right? So right from the get-go, United States coming out with pace, coming out with passion. And my first big takeaway from the game, I have been criticizing the men's national team for years on one thing, which is that we cannot create chances and we cannot finish in the final third. This game blew the doors off of both of those things. So I had a lot of confidence after this. We were able to generate a ton of chances. We looked very creative when we were attacking. We were passionate about attacking. We were excited about attacking. And we put the ball in the net 5 times. Granted, only 3 of them counted, but we put the ball in the back of the net 5 times. From a finishing stance, okay, from a goal scorer stance, putting the ball in the net matters. Now, if it's offsides and the offsides was like solely the reason why you scored, then like that's a little bit different, right? Like the cherry picking, like you're 1-on-1 with a goalie. I mean, it still feels good, but it's like you probably wouldn't have had that opportunity in a game. Balogun's offsides goal, like, yeah, he's offsides, but it's not like he dribbled in and got an advantage. He literally had to turn and just hit the ball in the corner. So from a striker stance, that has to feel really, really good. And then the same thing with Malik Tillman's goal, right? Just put the ball in the net and score that goal. So those things feel really, really good as a takeaway. We're creative. We are getting opportunities. We are attacking. For players that obviously like just made a massive impression early, they're going to be the big ones. Pulisic, Ricardo Pepi, and Dest up front, the synergy they had, the ability to move the ball together, Pepe's ability to come back to the ball, to hold it, and to distribute. It's everything that we knew Pepe was trying to become. And when we would describe Pepe, in previous years, it was like, in the last World Cup, that was the striker that he was trying to be. Like, we knew Pepe was working on being I'm going to be in the right place at the right time. I'm going to get the ball. I'm going to turn and distribute. I'm going to be more of like that holding forward that kind of checks back to the ball. Not going to be like a Balogun who he wants the ball. He's going to try to turn and take guys on, or he wants the ball ahead of him. And he's not going to be a Haji Wright, which is like, I'm going to be this big presence. You're going to play the ball to me, and I'm really going to hold the play up. So from an attacking stance, like that looked really, really good. Pulisic doing what he does and showing out even more. I think the biggest difference between this game for him and other games is simply the fact that we scored goals. If you look back to a lot of other games that Pulisic has played like this, he has one that goes just wide. He kind of misses a bunny. His assist doesn't quite get there. And it's like, Pulisic's goal drought. Like, oh gosh, and we're hearing about that before the game. Like, it's been since December of 2022. It's been since December of 20. And you're like, yeah, but like he's playing well. So it's not like he's just like playing really, really poorly. So it felt really, really good for him to get those. The play where you knock the ball into Des and they score, it just looks so brilliant. From the ball up to Pepe realizing he's on the run, to playing him through, to Pulisic just going like, this is going to be cake. I mean, that's the kind of goal that you have to score. And when you look at the World Cup level, like that's a gimme. You have to convert it. You're not going to get more than one of those a game potentially, and that could be all the difference, right? In the World Cup, that opportunity is not coming again. What we did differently this time was we capitalized, and we capitalized with ease. Perfectly slotted ball, flat across the box. It's just out of the reach of the defender. It's leading Dest. All Dest has to do is connect, and it's going in the net. It looks beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. What happens shortly after that? We get another opportunity, ball coming through the middle, play it ahead to Pulisic. What does Pulisic do? Beat the goalie, tap the ball in the net. And for his confidence, right, not thinking about the drought, right, not thinking about the media, for his confidence, he's got to be like, yeah, this is a player I know I am, right? And this was a massive you-know-what to the media from Christian Pulisic. For everybody who got out there and was like, I don't, like, for all of you people who are like, oh, he shouldn't even be on the roster. Now, most of you saying, I don't know if he should start. He's kind of washed. He's kind of hack. He's kind of this. And he's kind of that. I mean, this was Christian being like, you guys keep talking if you want, but like, I'm Captain America. I'm leading this team. Whether you like it or not, we're going for it. And you could tell that we were just 100% behind this, 100% attack. Now, at 2-0, this is where the door opens to potentially criticize the U.S. men's national team. Okay? But I'm going to put an asterisk on that, and I'm going to give you one reason. The reason is because we have to believe, well, first I'll say we don't know what Pochettino's directions were. Okay? What I can imagine, based on what I saw on the field, was that the result of this game was not as important as learning to play together, learning to attack together, learning to defend together, right? If we're up 2-0 against Senegal in a World Cup game, like let's say this is a World Cup knockout round, do you think we're just going to keep going for it, knowing that Senegal wants to play in transition? Or do you think the formation is going to change a little bit? We're going to be a little bit more reserved. We're going to try to play more to Pepe as a holding striker, and we're going to do things that way. Because we got beat in transition twice when we're up 2-0. If that game's tied, and it's Senegal that goes up 2-0 at the beginning, that makes sense because we have to play open. We have to kind of go for it. But we're up 2-0, and we're like, let's just keep going. Let's just keep pressing. That's not really, hopefully, indicative of the way teams are going to play in the World Cup. If you're up 2-0, now it's like, let's just make Senegal press. Let's make them open up because we very much wanted to play when the game was open up. We wanted to force Senegal to open the game up. We wanted to knock the ball around, and we wanted to be there when they tried to counter. Senegal didn't want the game to open up, right? They didn't really press us until they got into the midfield, which speaks of, coaches doing their homework because you knew the back had been playing together. You knew they were going to knock the ball around. And unless the ball goes all the way back to Turner, there's not really any reason to high press. So the United States wants to knock the ball around. Let's start putting pressure on in that neutral zone area, and let's see if they can figure it out because before this game, final third had been pretty sloppy. So it made sense to put the pressure on in that area to see what the United States could do. I really enjoyed watching Reina play. I've heard people say that he was limited, that he didn't that this and that. There was a couple times where the ball got played to him, and he chipped the line. And the ball landed up at Dest's feet, and we were able to attack. That's not something our midfield has done. Our midfield has really enjoyed knocking the ball around, and in that situation, you see what Tyler Adams does, which is the ball comes to him, and he could turn. There were 2 or 3 moments today where he could have turned and gone up the field and just one-timed it back. Whereas Reina's got his head on a swivel, and he's going, that's where I want to go. I want to attack. I want to have this little tiki-taka breakout stuff, and when the ball comes to me, I'm going to chip it over the top, and we're going to get there. And Reina did a bunch of those things. And it works when you have a Dest who's faster, a Dest who has the ability to cut back into you and allow Freeman to overlap. Because Dest being left-footed, you got to if you're the defense, you got to check to him. He's not just cutting in for show, right? It's no different than Christian out on the left. If he cuts back in, he's going to shoot, and we saw Christian do that a couple times. And if he beats you, he can swing it on his left foot, which we saw him do on Dest's goal. So I liked seeing that from Reina. I loved the energy of Berhalter. I liked his effort, his work rate. I didn't really feel like the midfield had too many really blown chances. I felt like they all came from when our defense tried to do a little too much. Reem had a moment where he dribbled the guy, and he had him beat, and it looked good. And then he took another touch. And then he took another touch. And then he lost the ball, and then they came on the counterattack. Anthony did the same thing, right? He's kind of in the midfield. He's in a weird spot where you're way too central, you're way too center in the field, and you get beat. And now you're like, I got to kind of try to track back, but are you tracking back to that guy? You're tracking back to another guy. It was kind of weird, and it just forced the game to open up. And then all of a sudden, Adams is the last man back. And if Adams holds the line, maybe Saudi or Mane's offsides. It was just there's some weird moments. But again, if you're up 2-0 and you're thinking about World Cup games, you're thinking about knockout games, right? Can you imagine we're up 2-0 against Belgium? We're not stretching to go for it. We're going back probably to 5. We're probably playing a 5-4-1. And just going, keep Doku out of the mix. Let's get some guys on De Bruyne. Let's not let them distribute. And let's call it a day. So it seemed obvious to me that Pochettino wanted to see, what can we create? What do we attack together? How do we move the ball together? And let's not really worry about the result down there. Let's kind of go for it. Turner, potential penalty. It was kind of tough for me because I had to have the game. I was kind of listening to the game while I was driving. My wife had a show this weekend. So I'm driving up during the first half, and I heard it, But, by the time I like glance down at it, it's like, I don't really know kind of what had happened. And I do think that, like, from a refereeing stance, you could have, like, Senegal could have their complaints about that one. The United States has their complaints about Tillman's goal. So, like, 6 and 1, half dozen the other. I mean, not really a whole lot there is going on. Now, I got to make my point here with some criticisms, okay? And not criticisms of the men's team, criticisms of the media, okay? Specifically ESPN, because we all know that some of my absolute favorite pundits are sitting here on ESPN. U.S. men's national team builds World Cup momentum by beating Senegal, but questions remain. Again, Jeff Carlisle, the individual writing this. I don't understand why it says June 1st, 2026, 8:55 a.m. Because that's not what it is. That's what it says, but that's not what time it is. We win, and immediately we're going, does this result matter? Not really. Well, if we had lost, your headline would have been men's national team woes continue. So, like, you can't have it both ways. We have to do a better job as commentators on the sport that we love of truly giving people who are maybe not familiar with the sport. Like, there have been a lot of people that I've been listening to, and like the Rondo podcast, shout out to them, have been fantastic. World Cups bring in fans who've never watched before. March Madness, you have people who have never watched college basketball, but they're watching the games. Stanley Cup playoffs, World Series, NBA Finals, the Super Bowl. All of these events contain a pretty decent grouping of fans, probably still the minority, but in the World Cup maybe not, where they've never seen this before. And especially in the United States, soccer's foreign, right? We watch football, not football. And so we have to do a better job of explaining to people what they're seeing. Because in my brain, this game ticket sales should be jumping. Maybe not crazy because they're insanely expensive, but like ticket sales should be going up. That game should have gotten some people hyped. When we went up 2-0, I'm literally looking at this game. I'm riding in my car. We're up 2-0, and I'm going, and I said out loud, tell me we're not going to handily win this group. Like, be that person to tell me again that what you're watching on this field, you don't think is one of the top 10 ranked teams in the world. Senegal won the Africa Cup of Nations. And we're just out there running the table on them. But Tim, it wasn't their A team. Yeah, it wasn't our A team either. Think about not getting embarrassed. 38 minutes into that game, Senegal's getting embarrassed by our B plus team. Right? BB plus team. If we're going to label, because Senegal was a dark horse in the tournament, so we're going to label Senegal as a dark horse, and we're going to see what they can do when they play France, then you got to be sitting here thinking like any country with half a brain is going, yeah. Right? And I think that's the biggest difference is I would wager that if you pulled all the coaches together and you listen to the conversations they have with their managers and their players behind the scenes, you'd have an idea of what teams were really dangerous. Now, it's the World Cup, so nobody's going out there and going, guys, this is going to be a cakewalk. I mean, maybe Spain against Cape Verde or whatever it is, right? But again, Spain's coach is not going like, guys, do whatever you want. They're like, we got to stay on top of this. We got to take this serious. We got to put this game away early so that they don't, we don't need this to be left for a blunder or a mistake, right? We don't need that. I'm watching this game thinking the United States is going to win the group. This is definitely a team that has a shot to compete. Yes, our road is hard, but we are somebody that I can get excited to back. It was obvious the players that were on the field had something they wanted to prove. They were able to do it in a manner where people didn't get injured, and it felt like both sides were kind of going for it. Senegal playing on the counterattack, maybe not as much, just sitting and absorbing pressure. But from an attacking stance, United States looking good and feeling good about it, right? So when I look through like the other headlines, it's kind of like, oh, all of a sudden Pulisic is back, like, and it's this form and it's this and it's that. And it's like, again, we want to be trying to set up our fans to understand exactly what this is going to be, right? So explain to them. This is probably, like, even take guesses. You don't know. I mean, Pochettino would talk about it, but again, coaches are mysterious. They're not really going to tell us. So, like, take guesses like I'm doing, right? I'd have to believe that Pochettino wanted to see what his players are going to do now that they've been selected, right? So we know you're not going to start, but I need to see what role you're going to play coming off of the bench. Now, Roldan looked horrible. Absolutely horrible. He still came in as a sub, right? Sometimes that's what you're going to learn. Sometimes it's showing the team, like, you guys watching this? Because if he gets hurt, I need somebody to step up because that's not working, right? Ball comes through to him on a corner kick. He settles it. He beats a guy, and then something. I have no idea. Like, none. No idea at all, right? And on the flip side, for Senegal, Nichols looked terrible. I mean, that was like the one player that I was like, I don't think we got to worry about this guy at all. Jackson. I don't know why I said Nichols. It's not his name. Oh, because it's Nicholas Jackson. That's why I'm saying it. Yeah, but anyway, I digress. So then, other things that I got right, that 45 minutes, I mean, it was, let's just do a whole other lineup, right? So now, in the second half, we're going to get to see who we started. So, Trusty's going to come in, McKinney's going to come in, Robinson comes in shortly after that. Christian Roldan comes in. Maximilian Arfston comes in. Timothy Weah comes in. Joe Scally comes in. Chris Brady comes in. Falarin Balogun comes in. So we're playing like a completely different set of guys. And the game, like typical in second halves, the energy kind of comes down. Senegal's a little bit more in it now. They're knocking the ball around. Possession's a little bit more even. United States, we get punched in the mouth again. We make some mistakes. Robinson's like trying to find his way back into it, but he's, this is still his first game back. He's kind of doing a little bit too much. It's like a half-hearted pass back to Brady. Brady's, I'm not really sure what I do with it. And then all of a sudden, there we go. We're beat. And then even with the tracking back, Mane's able to put it in the net. So Mane's got 2. And then we just poured it on. And to Tillman's credit, right? So I'm somebody who, like, if you've been following, like, I'm not a massive fan of Malik Tillman, right? Dude had a great game. Dude worked hard, forced some turnovers, put himself in positions to do well, played with some physicality, right? Wound up, I believe, generating the assist. Did not. He didn't get the assist. Scoring a goal that was taken back. Was it... I'm trying to think of who got that assist then. Was it McKinney? No. Not relevant. So, I'm pleased. Overall, I was pleased with the game. I thought we did what we had set out to do, and we kind of get all of the wins, even maybe the ones you weren't setting out for. So, like, everybody's healthy, check. You got guys some confidence, check. You put the ball in the back of the net, check. And you get your fans hyped up, and you're riding this momentum for this tour. So now you're looking ahead and you're going, okay, we got to play against a Germany, right? A Germany who today just beat Finland, I believe, 4-0. I think it was in my, yeah. Right? So, like, other results from today. Japan up 1-0. Switzerland winning 4-1. Czechia winning 2-1. Who the heck is this? Oh, Cape Verde beat Serbia 3-0. That's something. Maybe they're not just going to roll over and die to Spain. Maybe that's not going to happen. I believe Germany beat Finland 4-0. So, some pretty decent results. Ukraine beating Poland 2-0. Brazil just hammering Panama 6-2. Well, Panama did score 2 goals. So, there is that. So now we're looking ahead and, like, going to be playing a Germany side, going to be trying to figure out, like, what is it that Germany's looking to do. We're only 6 days out from the World Cup at that point. I know conversations about Chris Richards, I really stand, to say, especially after this result, I would have to wager that Senegal is a better team than maybe everybody but Turkey in our group, maybe even arguably Turkey. It gets so close. So if that's the kind of result you're putting against Senegal, you're really not in a position where you're super worried about going like, okay, we got to rush this guy back. Like, you don't have to rush him back. We can play a little bit different of formation, right? So if I'm looking ahead to Germany and I'm reflecting on my comments from earlier today, I'm thinking about a couple things. One, I would personally like to see the same formation. I wouldn't like to see another Pochettino. Well, we tried this against Senegal. Let's do this against Germany, right? And I know that everything has an asterisk. I suppose the reason could be Germany is going to attack differently, and we want to play a different defensive structure against a team that's going to attack like this, right? There is merit to that, and it's worth being able to switch things up and play with some more fluidity and have some different tactics depending on the team that we're going to be playing against. However, I would still like to see us come out and play our game, right? Are we going to be the aggressor? Are we going to be the defender? Right? I play lots of games where, like, the conversation we have is like, you got to know who's the boogeyman, right? Which one of you just gets to do the thing, and it's the responsibility of the other party to stop them. And what I like about the United States over the last, basically through the previous World Cup cycle all the way through this is we've kind of decided we're going to try to be the boogeyman. And it has come to bite us hard in some of our games, but we are very adamant we are going to be that person. And we get crap for it all day. United States with 70-something, percent possession, but we lose 2-0. And everybody's like, what are we doing? It's like, we're trying to be the boogeyman. Like, we want to walk on the field as the team that you have to be afraid of. We want other teams to settle back in. Like, we want to control the game. We want to dictate the pace of play. We have the talent to do it. If we didn't, we wouldn't be able to pull it off. This is the most talented generation that we've had by a long shot. This is the best set of players we've had by some distance. I'm excited to see what we're going to do. If I'm thinking ahead to Germany, which, again, I'm going to do a video, I'm going to do a preview on that one. But my gut right now is going, I would just like to see a goal against Germany. Like, we lose 2-1 and it's close. We tie 1-1. I would like to see us get a goal. I would like to see us have some chances. And again, once halftime rolls around, it doesn't matter. But let's see what kind of energy we can come out with in those first 20, 30 minutes. And if it's going to be bench players, let's still, same thing. Let's still see that kind of fight. Let's see that kind of heart, and let's hang with them, right? So if we're seeing a lot of bench players, all I want to see is that we hang with them. I don't want to see the embarrassment, right? Germany is a team who struggled to get out of groups in World Cups. They've struggled to make runs in World Cups. They've had a lot of really weird moments. We haven't. We failed to make the World Cup, but we haven't had any of those weird moments. So I think it's going to be a good matchup. It's going to be at Soldier Field in Chicago. Tickets are still $100. And really probably not worth going, especially for a game that's going to be a friendly. And now 6 days out, right? You tweak a muscle, you twist a thing, like we're a couple weeks out. Like, you could have risked it a little bit today in the Senegal game. 6 days out, you really can't risk it. So those are my thoughts on the Senegal game. I would love to hear your thoughts down below. If you like this kind of stuff and you just enjoy hearing kind of different content, you can like and subscribe. I'd appreciate it. Ring that bell. Again, if you don't like it, go ahead and bash me, thrash me. It doesn't matter, right? That's why we're doing this. But if there's anything we got to be uniform about, if there's anything we got to stick to, it's we got to bring the beautiful game to our country, to the people who don't understand what it is, and we got to do it fairly. We got to be honest about it, and we got to go for it. And some of you right now are going, Tim, you just weren't honest. Yes, I was. And if you don't think so, you better leave a comment. Prove me wrong. I'll catch you guys on the next one.